Hey y'all, and welcome back to a new video. Today we're going to be looking at a chess game that I played an hour ago, where my opponent decided to offer me a draw where there was still a decent bit of life in the position, and, well, as you know from the title, I declined. Either way, we're going to get into it. So I start off the game with d4, my opponent goes d5. We're going to skip past the opening here, bishop f4, bishop f5, c4, c6, a little bit of inaccuracies, knight c3, knight f6, e3, e6, knight f3, and bishop to d6. And we're in a very simple, kind of like London game, kind of like with some like Queen's Gambit motifs with these two pawns out. But everything is going pretty normal here, and there's not much really to evaluate except when my opponent goes with the move bishop d6. Here, there's two real options. Three, really. I can either play knight e5, which makes a lot of sense. You want the knight on e5 in London in many cases. Or I can play the move bishop to g3, or I can play the move bishop to g5. The classical idea here, the main idea that normally happens, and what I normally play, and what you probably should play when you're faced with bishop d6 and offering a bishop trade, is you should go bishop g3. And the idea is basically so that if he takes you, you take back with a pawn, opening up your rook. It's really, really a very simple thing, and people start to pick up on it around like 1800 or so. This is a very simple idea, and it's worked for me for a while. The other idea is to play knight e5, which is the best move here, because your knight is very, very active in this position, and this is kind of where the knight wants to be anyway. Also, it blocks the bishop from taking on f4. The knight on e5 is very, very good here, because this is just where the knight wants to be. It's targeting kind of everything. Then you might play like, I don't know, this move in the future if you're really feeling weird, or you're going to play like h4, h5 or something. And the knight is normally good there. The other line is the move that I played in the game, which is bishop to g5. And the reason why I played this move and not the other more natural moves, or like probably better moves, is because bishop g5, well, there's been times in my games where this move has like appeared, like a lot of times actually. This is like a recurring thing, and what ends up happening most of the time is that I just play bishop g3 haphazardly, not really understanding that bishop g5 is the best move. And here I decided to kind of just change that just because I'd been missing it recently. So yeah, I played bishop g5. Probably not the best move in the position. Probably bishop g3 would be better, but it made sense to me at the moment. My opponent goes knight bd7, which makes sense. Putting a layer of defense on the knight. I simply developed my bishop to d3 after some thought, because I was just trying to calculate, does he want to play this move? And I thought eventually, no, he doesn't want to play this move because I just capture it, and then he loses the center control, and I have this move, this idea on the way. So I was like, no, that's probably not correct. You probably shouldn't do that, and I'm right, which is nice. Instead, my opponent decides to capture my bishop. And of course, I recapture, and we get into a pretty normal position. h6, bishop to h4, castles and castles. And my opponent here makes a huge mistake with the move e5. And this is already losing for black. This is already worse, already completely losing. But we have like 40 more moves to go through, so it's not going to lose right away. I kind of realize that it's losing. I'm a little bit annoyed at myself here. I played the move that I thought made the most sense. Like this move, when I saw it on the board, like alarm bells rang in my head. I just immediately thought, no, this can't work. I feel like white has a ton of compensation here. There's no way that that this actually works for black. And I'm right, it doesn't, but I'm a little bit stupid on how I did this. One thing I could have done here pretty quickly was play the move bishop takes f6, which makes a lot of sense. Basically, you can't take back with the knight because of this fork, attacking both the bishop and the knight. And if you take back with the queen, then I'm going to do the same idea here, where I'm actually winning a pawn. And I should have seen this. I could have probably ended the game a lot sooner. The move I played in the game doesn't work. The move d takes e5, and I thought it worked. I thought I was winning here, but I was wrong because I missed one little tactic that he had here. The move that works here is c takes d5. The reason why is because if my opponent pushes, obviously that's a free pawn. There's no fork there. My opponent takes here. I'm just going to recapture with the knight, and I'm going to be eventually just up a pawn because you can't take this. And if you take here with the pawn, I can probably just recapture with the knight because this knight is pinned. And yeah, this is actually pretty simple. E4 here, as a side note, doesn't actually work due to, I mean, I was thinking knight f6 check, knight takes f6, and then like we just trade everything. Like this position is wrong because this pawn is a weakness, and after it takes, white is just up 2 pawns, which is pretty good. Instead of that, I mess up and I don't play the right thing. The move that I played, which is d takes e5, doesn't exactly work, and the reason why it doesn't work, sorry, I gotta take this here. Oh, nothing, okay. And the reason why this move doesn't work is because I missed one move a little bit farther down. I calculated this whole line out. I thought knight takes e5, I would recapture with my knight, he'd recapture the bishop, I'd take the pawn, he would take my knight, I'd take back with the queen, and I thought at the end of the day, I'm going to be up material. If you take with the pawn, then I'm already able to take this, and I'm already doing better because you have to shatter your structure. Then I just have a better endgame. And if you take with a queen, well, then I just win the pawn here. But the move that I missed, which is a little bit embarrassing, I missed the move from afar on move 12. I missed the move knight takes d5, and I just completely blanked on this. Idea is clear. He's attacking my queen, and his queen is hanging. Yeah, I missed that back here, which is a little bit forgivable, but not exactly. I probably should have seen this. Instead, knight takes d5, and I'm already feeling a little bit of the heat. The only reason that white is slightly better here is because of the bishop. The bishop is the only difference, because the bishop is a long-range piece, and I can get stuff going here. Also, this 4-on-3 on the king side is a little bit better for me, because the kings are over here. If the kings were over on this side of the board, then this would probably be a better position for black. But I think about it, I go queen c4, and then my opponent decides that he doesn't want to play anymore. My opponent here just thinks that, okay, the position is equal, he's right. He goes queen b6, and he offers me a draw. Now, will I be taking this draw? The answer is no. I am not going to be taking these silly draws anymore. I have been taking a lot of draws recently in equal positions where I could play on, and a lot of the time that's been affecting like my chess. Like I haven't been able to like get progress, like push, like get experience, like pushing from an equal position that I need, and really taking the draws in these like equal positions. I know this is more like a high level thing. Like it's a little bit. I mean, if you're lower rated, if you're like 1,000, if you're like 1,200, like this position is definitely like not a draw. Like both sides could win, both sides could lose. But around like 1,800 is when like this starts happening, and I needed to work on this. I really need to work on this. What a lot of people do is they just take the draw because they don't want to play anymore. They don't want to blunder. Makes sense, but this isn't a good style. So what I did was when I saw the draw offer, I didn't even think twice. I didn't even take a second thought. I immediately clicked X, and then I dealt with the consequences. I clicked X. I said, don't accept draw offers for this game, and then I deal with the consequences. And, well, there were consequences. I play the move b3, which makes sense. He's attacking my pawn. He's going for that. If you go queen here, this move doesn't work. This actually loses for black, which I realized. After queen b4, knight b4, we have this nice little fork of the knight and the rook. A little bit hard to see, but yeah, this is winning. You probably have to play knight c2, rook a c1, and at the end of the day, I'm going to be in a better position because the knight is trapped, which is tough. And, well, this is how the position would go. Takes, and then I'm just having a better endgame of a pawn. This is a huge weakness. Yeah, I realized that, and so I decided to play on queen b4 is not what he played. He instead played rook fe8, which makes a lot more sense. I thought for a little bit. I ended up settling on this move e4, saying that, okay, now if he wants a queen trade, he can have one. Now this move doesn't blunder the game away. Actually, well, it does because the knight. But let's say like if he got the queen trade, I thought my position was probably slightly better here, just in general. Like I can play f3, and this seems pretty decent for me just because I have the bishop and my opponent has a knight, and I can probably do some cool things here. Instead of blundering again, my opponent goes with the move knight f4, which didn't make sense to me at first because I'm like, really? Knight f4? Doesn't that just help me get my pieces into position? So I played bishop g3, and I'm like, my bishop wants to be here anyway. Why are you helping me do that? What's the point? And he shows me the point. He wants to get over to this square, which makes sense. He wants to get over to this square, cut off this, and then force me to play f3, where then there'll be some like weird discovered attacks like this with the queen and the king, and I'm probably losing that line. So, I mean, I have to be a little bit careful, but I am, and I can quickly do what I'm doing. I simply go with the move rook fd1, stopping the knight from coming here, and eventually I'm going to play like king h1 f3 at some point. It's something in the future we don't have to worry about just yet. Rook a d8, interesting move. I kind of play a bit of a lazy move here. What I should have done is played king h1, probably, so then I can play f3 in the future. But this isn't really correct. The computer gives a crazy move, bishop to d6, which if I had found that, I mean, lock me up for cheating. I probably, I don't think I would have found this move in the game, but I mean, anything's possible. Maybe I'm just really, really good at chess. Never know. But instead I just kind of play a lazy move. I go with the move h3, which just made sense. I'm like, okay, now there's no back rank mate. My king always has luft, and life is good. And my opponent finds a nice move as well. He goes queen to a5. And currently what he's doing, he's threatening my pawn. Rook takes, queen takes a1 is an actual threat. But something funny is that the computer doesn't think it's a threat. I can go king h2, and actually I want to understand, why is this line so good for me? Oh, because I just get a ton of play. Okay, yeah, I just have a massive compensation. My opponent really can't do anything. Like, I guess if he tries to defend the pawn, he can't really. If he brings the queen back, I'm just going to take. He has massive weaknesses. If he brings the rook here, oh, well, obviously not. He can't do that. And if he goes knight d8, well, this is stupid. Yeah. Okay, I probably even have like bishop h4. You can't play this. And if g5, white should just be better. Just argue this is a weakness and then play. Okay, that makes sense. But yeah, I thought that I couldn't really allow this. So the move I was really thinking about is this move b4, but I ended up deciding against this after I saw the move queen a4, and I decided here that I don't want the queen to come here. This pawn is a little bit weak. If I go queen b3, which is the only move in this position, is this really what I want? Do I really want these doubled pawns here? And I'm like, no, I don't want the double pawns. They don't look good to me. And black is very slightly better, but nothing special. So instead I play kind of a worse move. I go with the move a4 instead. Just kind of defending the pawn in another way. Not that good. Rook d2 is a very excellent move. And I have to think about what to do here. In fact, the only move is bishop to d6, which is hard to see. And like if this move, I'm gonna play this move e5 probably, and kind of cement myself here. And you can never play this because the knight would be hanging. That's a little bit tough. I didn't see that exactly. Like, I mean, like even this move is kind of something. No, like I take the rook first. But it's a little bit. It's just really tricky here, and I was already feeling the heat. I wasn't looking for that. I ended up just taking the rook, which isn't good because it allows his queen in, and I'm already worse. But you know, maybe I should have taken that draw for earlier on. Yeah, maybe that would have been the best option. But of course, that doesn't work with my game plan. So instead, I think for a little bit, but I already kind of know what I'm going to play. I'm going to play the move f3, put some defense on that pawn. I'm going to bring my bishop back here. I'm going to bring my rook to f1 maybe, and I'm going to be okay in the long run. My opponent goes rook d8, which is a good move. I was thinking about a line here. I ended up not playing it. I could have played the move bishop to e1, which I really was thinking about. Like, I'm not pulling your leg or anything. I was calculating this, but I ended up not doing this because I saw queen b2, rook c1, and I didn't really like this position. I thought the knight got in to f4, and my position is just worse. But here I have the move bishop to c3, and this is what I have to see. And I didn't see this. I thought my position was lost. Wasn't lost. I thought I was just considerably worse if I did this. So I didn't go for it. And I still played bishop f2 pretty quickly, but already the advantage skyrocketed to -1. And I'm losing. But there's still 25 moves left of this game. So how does the game go on for that long? Knight f4 is a good move. I'm still worse. I play rook f1 pretty quickly, but now the time's getting a little bit low, and I mean, I was up on time for a while, but now I'm not anymore. And my opponent goes with this move rook d6, and I'm feeling, oh no, that doesn't look good to me. That doesn't look good to me at all, because he's coming over here and he's gonna try to mate me. And so I quickly think of the defense. I play the move king to h2, which is a huge mistake. Huge mistake. Now I'm actually losing. What I had to do was go king h1, but I didn't like this because after rook g6, he's attacking the pawn, and I didn't even know what I would be able to play here. Computers just give up the pawn, but obviously we're not going to do that. We're not going to admit our position is worse. I just don't do that in games. I think that would be stupid. I thought king h2 made a little more sense, because now after rook g6, I have to move g4, and I can hang on to the pawn. And if king h1, I didn't have g4, because of course this pawn would be falling. And I thought, okay, maybe I'm able to survive here. Maybe I'm going to be able to do some good, but it's losing. It's completely losing. Here's an example line. Rook d6, king g3, there's knight e2. Actually, sorry, not knight e2. My opponent's idea is to move h5, and I can't really do anything. I'm just losing. For example, bishop to c5. It looks like it works, but actually h4 check, king h4, and I was analyzing this a little bit ago, but this is just checkmate, which is a little bit rough, but you know, when the king is going on a jaunt like that, it's pretty tough to survive. But I'm glad my opponent didn't play that. Instead, he misses it. He goes with the move knight to d3, and now it's back to equality, and I'm back in the game. I think here for a minute. Well, not for a minute. I think here for a little bit, and I play the best move, bishop to g3. The idea of this move, I'm hitting the rook, first of all, and after the rook moves to g6, which I thought made the most sense, now he doesn't have any threats here because my bishop will block it, and life is good. I now find the next best move, which is the move f4, which is very, very strong. Now this pawn is kind of in the way of everything, and my rook is defending it now. Because one of the ideas of black, if I just do nothing, is to play the move rook to g3, and after king to g3, this is mate, which is not good. That's not what we'd like to see. So so f4 is almost forced. My opponent goes h5. I go with the move. I go with a bit of a bad move. The only move here that's actually good for white is move queen d4, which is really tough to see. I didn't see this at all. And the reason why is it stops h4, which is cool. Because of h4, we have this check. And after a king here, we take the pawn with check. And I'm winning, which is tough. I didn't see queen d4. I instead played the move that I thought made a lot of sense, which is the move rook f3. And the idea is I'm just attacking the knight. And if you go h4, then I'm going to take the knight. But he has the move knight e1, which is a very excellent move. I can't take because of a checkmate with the rook opening up, and I'm already doing worse, but I'm still playing on. I'm still trying to play for a win. I go rook f2. At the end of the day, by the way, if my opponent lets me live, I'm winning this game. If my opponent lets me live, I'm winning this game because of these pawns. These pawns, the kings are over here. This pawn mass versus these two are never going to break through. Like, my pawns are always going to be able to stop them. And this king is going to walk up and be able to do some serious damage. My opponent goes queen e3, which is a really good move. I have to play bishop h4 because he's attacking my bishop. And I can't come back with this. I also can't, well, obviously I can't do that. Okay. Well, I have to play bishop h4. But now I have 35 seconds on the clock. And it's getting really, really rough. My opponent goes knight d3, a miss. It's tough. I go rook f3, another blunder, kind of blundering the same thing, but now queen e2, and he's threatening mate, but the knight is hanging. I go bishop g3, the only move, 17 seconds on the clock. h4 is almost winning, but I have queen takes d3, and I'm completely winning now. Now I only have to fight against the clock. hg, rook g, queen takes d3, rook takes d3, and the pawns start marching. He has more time than me, but I'm winning the game. Rook e7, my king is able to walk up, and I'm kind of playing every move instantly. Rook d6 is a kind of an interesting move. Takes, king d7. The idea is this, and after the move f6, I go to king f5 and king to g6, and I'm winning the game. I'm also up on time at this point. The pre-moves have really helped. King takes g7, king e6, and I start pushing the h-pawn. There's nothing my opponent can do. My opponent simply times out here. He had 4 seconds, but obviously there's not much you can do. I'm winning. And I won the game. From a worse position, from when my opponent offered me a draw, I win. And that's what you got to do. Well, that's all I've got for you today. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys found this entertaining, instructive, all of the above. If you did, remember to like, subscribe, do all the normal things YouTubers tell you to do. And yeah, that's it. Good evening and good night.